enjoy the show, play on Perjangers.
So, dude, a lot has happened since we did our last podcast, which, silly little podcast, Get a Game Shark, we're ready for Pornhub. We dropped that July 1st. Beginning of this month, July 1st, man.
What a quote.
People are watching, they're liking, they're subscribing. We need them to especially subscribe, comment below. We love to hear comments.
And your game sharks.
Especially on stuff that we're talking about, because there's a lot of stuff happening. Like, I'm on a billboard with my business partner and my book. The other side, the champ, Tony Yolanda. So that's the immediate news from the day. And you can also find me at Wallhangers, I think, Wallhangers in Nottingham, PA. This Saturday, I am going to be their guest for they have a food truck, and I'm going to be the guest selling my books and prints that Aleem is going to help me make happen. Yeah, man, it's going to be a big event. He has already heard people ask about me, and he hasn't even released on social media that I'm attached to it. He said several calls. Are there tickets?
You, Mr. Big Shot.
You know what I mean? So I am going to be lock, stock, and with two smoking barrels on Saturday in Nottingham, PA from 2 to 8 p.m. You can come on out. If you order your copy of Picture Perfect Small Towns now, you will get it before the event, and you can bring it to me, and I'll sign it for you.
Signature and all. You were like one political suit away from being a television movie star.
We can get there eventually. But it's going
Got the other one with a book out, man. Check it out.
You got yours. Oh.
Yeah, I've been published. Actually, me and my wife published in this poetry book. It's a collection called The Oasis of Light. It was published by our Writers Guild here in South Mississippi at the Gulf Arts Center, to which I'm lucky to be vice president of. Man, it's pretty awesome.
I am so proud of you, sir. That's awesome. Poetry book.
Yeah,
Poetry is another thing like photography. The fans of it will flock to the books, and especially silly little podcasters like ourselves. We're going to have fun making our content. I already got 2 books set out. I got Small Towns, Maryland, and I got a good bit of that shot, and I have Delaware County. I'm going to do a Delco book, and I'm going to do a Maryland book next.
It's interesting you said photography. So our president took a picture of it right
nice
here,
picture.
and then we used a filter to make it kind of look like it was like a cloth calligraphy.
Okay.
And then inside it's a collaboration. So we got like poets, and then each artist picked a poem, and they provided art samples from actual like physical art that they have done, whether it be watercolors, pastels, traditional art.
Oh,
it's a really cool collaboration, man.
That is awesome.
There's 40 people involved, and the poet laureate for the state, Dr. Catherine Pierce, wrote our foreword, and we're getting it all in library systems right now. And of course, you know, I'm putting together that thing, and hopefully we can get this on distribution on a national level. I still got to talk to John Dumoulin about it.
Yeah.
But
well, that's the big thing, you know. When you hear people say, "I want to distribute your book on the East and West Coast," you're like, "Okay, I want you to do that too." I'm so glad we are on the same page.
That's your initial reaction. Mine's like Vikings charging into battle.
That's the reaction Jill wants out of me. But I'm just okay. Like,
you wanna watch?
Are you sure you called my name? So, you know, there's a little of that, but you know, being on a billboard, I can't really keep that because people are coming out to see me
next level, man.
At events. So I'm gonna bring my nice fedora. I'll leave the Deadpool mask at home. I'll bring my camera.
Oh man,
I really can't breathe or see if I'm wearing that mask though.
Yeah,
it's very inconvenient.
What, the Deadpool mask?
Oh yeah, it's very inconvenient and suffocating too, especially if you have like a stuffed in there and you're just
good. It's good cross promotion now that Deadpool Wolverine is finally out.
God damn
Theaters.
it! All right, I may have to bring the Deadpool mask.
Guess who?
I'll bring it. You know, kids may want to see Matt Poole. There was a time I was Matt Poole on the Perjangers and Wallhangers Media Network. I was doing my gameplay segment through the Old Republic MMO, and it was Matt Poole plays, and I had we had a loop ourselves on a loop, and it was me and Big Brother, and Big Brother would just sit there completely still, barely move an inch, just enough to know, it wasn't a still image. Eventually, you'd see.
We can make this happen. So I know a guy who makes custom Funko Pops, like the packaging and all of it. We got to make a Matt Poole Funko Pop. But she's standing in
with the fedora,
with the fedora and a fucking
headphones around,
camera over you.
Oh yeah, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie.
I was thinking more of those like Florida tourists, or those like fucking jorts and some sandals. One of those Hawaiian t-shirts over a white.
I absolutely hate Hawaiian t-shirts. I hate them so much. I don't know why so many people like these things. I have no idea. Look at me. I am a simple kind of man. Yeah, I just made a simple man reference. That's fine. We can just let that one go. But we both got
because if we keep on, it's an 8-minute song.
It is. You don't really want to go into that one too much. I feel like that would be a bit overboard. But on this podcast, we talk about our projects. We talk about different kind of stuff. Have you heard of anything weird or wacky in our realm that we did not talk about last time? It has been 24 days.
Yeah, so apparently there's this river of blood in Antarctica that they've actually come out and nonchalantly said that the iron deposits in this river are similar to the way that human iron are deposits, which directly correlates to the conspiracy theory that people are using on Google Earth to justify there being a Jormunger serpent swimming underneath the ocean, and that's the reason for all these cracks in places like Wyoming and various parts of the world, including that huge fucking river flood that just happened in the Philippines. So the Bible references the end of the world serpent that rises out of the water, and that would be the end. So
I will grab a picture of it and I will sell it. Okay, I will get the perfect picture of that fucking end of the world serpent, sir. I will. Got to be the opportunist at the end of the world, Maybe
it's like a weird. They say it's underwater.
And gets in the eye, and he's like, I can't stand it. Oh, what happened? And then, bam, he gets hit with something. I don't know. That's half the plan. I don't have to have that half.
People have been using the topographical maps of like underwater things, and someone used like heat sensors, and they say it's moving very slowly from under the water. I just. Man, it's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around there being a giant fucking serpent in the ocean.
It was the wildest Antarctica conspiracy theory I think I heard, but that Russia was digging into Antarctica and they got so far down that a giant octopus came up and killed the whole crew.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, it was what do they call that? Specimen 22 or some shit.
Like, come on, man. And then they were like scared, and they covered it. They just covered that shit up, and they're like, "Nobody go here."
Oh no! It was fucking specimen 23. It's some type of weird new species of octopus. Like it killed 2 divers.
I mean, that's a little bit different than an entire settlement getting whacked out, and them saying, "You know what? We're just gonna leave this alone." I
don't know if you ask evolutionists and the people like marine biologists, a lot of them think octopus, if they ever got a chance to experience evolution on the wave that Darwinism was founded, that octopus would take over the world next because they're so much more intelligent.
They're very intelligent. Have you seen that documentary on Netflix, the My Octopus Teacher? Dude,
Yeah.
they are smart. And a lot of places, they recognize them as being a sentient being. Like, hey, you can't eat them. No.
They're fucking horrible
If
anyway.
you
Their
can lock
skin's
that thing
rubbery.
in a
It tastes
jar
weird.
and it just
Yeah.
unscrews it and fucks off, I think you should leave it alone.
Well, I mean, the suctions with the teeth in it have a lot to do with that, but
Dude, look at
God
a
surely
real-
blessed them with a lot of defensive mechanisms.
They did. And they will purposely, like, throw rocks at another octopus they don't like. Like, they are dicks. They'll pass around pufferfish. Like,
Oh, I've never heard. I actually was gonna
Am I
say
confusing the
they're not
pufferfish with the
emotional,
dolphins?
so they're very patient.
I know dolphins pass around the pufferfish. I'm probably confusing it with
Play with it. They play with it like a soccer ball.
They get high off the fucking pufferfish. They pass that shit around like a joint.
And
Sometimes
when it's all
octopus
done, we'll just throw it around like a beach ball.
Sometimes octopus just want to fuck around. You know? They just have fun. They're very interesting creatures, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know. Animals, maybe it's just because I'm too human, but animals doesn't seem like fun.
That old, like, PETA activist.
Like, how do you,
That's
like, how do you define what an animal does for fun?
you know?
I mean,
Well, I can tell you what my dog does for fun. It's like longingly look out the window or stare at me. Then he's like, God, this is the best time ever, along with chewing my bone. And
well, that doesn't really count. Dogs are domesticated, so they're like close to human life. So they depend on us for a lot of things.
See, my dog.
Oh.
I was telling Jill this earlier, and I was telling her like he does these little chuffs, these little eyebrow rolls and facial movers, and at the right time, he understands a lot of what I'm saying. I talk to him like he's just a little human being, and they say that makes dogs more intelligent because they're learning more of the language and all that. So,
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah,
This guy
yeah.
has a personality, dude. And he can
Well,
be,
yeah, dog.
I will put it,
dogs for
he
sure.
can be an asshole. He can be such an asshole.
Yeah, no, animals have personalities. I've never seen Yogi Bear playing fetch with Boo Boo in the woods. That's all I'm saying. Like, so, define what an animal does for fun. And I mean, is a bear scratching his back on a tree? Is that what he does for fun? Because
That is
like
pleasure,
90%
though.
of all animals' lives they spend buying for food. So
Yeah.
it's like, where do you put fun in that bag? I gotta fucking eat today 90 times and shit. Like cows, that's all they
mean-
do is eat them.
At a certain level of sentience, you don't think that there is that level to where you get to where, all right, I'm out of the immediate survival mode. What do I want to do? I want to scratch my back on a tree. I have had that itch for this longest time. You see elephants picking up trash and putting it in trash cans. You know what I mean? There's a level of sentience to a lot of animals out there.
There is though. Have you heard about that fucking? I don't know if it's still alive. I watched a video on it. So it's about 6 months old. There's a fucking elephant that paints at a zoo. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah,
taught it to
I did
paint,
hear about that one.
and it fucking painted itself.
Wow.
Holy shit! Yeah. So
It has a
animals like
sense of
elephants
self.
should be sacred
Well,
animals
how
now.
can they tell that he was painting himself and not another elephant that he's seen?
Well, this is an isolated elephant.
Okay.
It was originally
All right, that's
bullied,
fair,
and they
that's fair.
isolated it.
Well, maybe it's
They
a
isolated it in its
self-expression
own
is that,
habitat.
you know what? It's a level of art that you can't argue sentience there. I mean, like, why did he make the elephant look like that?
Yeah,
a
it really
view of
justifies
himself?
the creative touch, though. Like for artists, it's a beautiful art story. Like
It is.
an elephant gets bullied so much that it learns how to paint. Be happy.
There's a Disney movie in there. You see it? There's no, it's Dumbo.
Yeah.
It's Dumbo. That's it. I mean, he didn't paint. He
Well,
went to the circus,
there'd have to be
but-
a child involved and an adult that empathizes with the child, that believes in. There's got to be some asshole corporate guy that's
Mm-hmm.
like, we got to sell the elephant. All he does is paint all day. People don't want to see that shit. Yeah, there's a movie in there.
There's gonna be
It's that movie that
overhead
came
with
out last
touring
year. It's like
around
it
with
had
a
an
painting
alligator
elephant,
in it.
though. You tour around with a painting elephant. You got to feed it, water it. I mean, walk it, make it feel loved. I don't know. Maybe that's what you do with the dog. Maybe it's different with an elephant. Like
That would
big
probably
poops.
make it
Thank
depressed, though. 'cause
God,
then
I
you
have
turn-
somebody
you-
to clean that up. Holy crap!
I remember going to the San Diego Zoo when I was 5. Those fucking elephant piles of shit, dude, they're monstrous.
Oh,
Maybe it was just because I was 5 and I was about this tall, so I was looking up at it. But they're fucking huge.
That's a massive
Like, you
pile
could-
of crap.
Yeah, I could dive off this 2-story balcony into a pile of elephant shit, and I'd be just fine. That's how much cushion and volume's in there.
Oh God, how much money would you be making?
That's like, why the fuck you put so much detail in that thoughts?
My name's
It's
Michael
just gross.
Florio, and this is Jackass. Woo!
Oh, it's kicking up something. It could be a pile of elephant shit. There's a story in there somewhere. I'm diving to.
Well, you can keep
That's kinda-
elephant shit to yourself.
You know what? There's a metaphor in that, though. You go to write something or you do art, you're always diving into a pile of shit because you don't know what it looks like yet.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
pick
that's
through
true.
it and you
Yeah.
find all the protein molecules. Like, oh, I can turn this into food. Oh shit, that's right. Japan.
Where have
Japan
we
is turning
gone?
shit into food.
I feel like I need another shower. Oh, let me get that off a bit.
Yeah,
that
so
one's
you know
stuck.
how they make petroleum oil and they shave off that foamy shit and sell that to companies, and that's what they medicine basically. That's the coating on it, is the petroleum based coating. They do that with shit now in Japan. They repurpose that foamy that shit foam
do-
and they turn it into like
They do a
printed
lot of
protein.
things over in Japan, which a lot of people shouldn't. Okay.
Yeah,
They
but
do a
come
lot
on,
of things
man.
over there.
Like feeding people shit. Like what the fuck we come to?
They have panty vending machines. They have enough orders. So it's like, look, just we put it in the vending machine outside. Just get out of my business.
You know what though? They should really be using elephant shit. They shit a lot. So if we're talking about feeding 8 million people, the 3-4 elephants.
I mean,
could
there's a
feed 8
thing
million.
about fecal transition to help like microbiome in your gut, but I mean, just eating shit. I think there was like definitely some kind of documentary on somebody who did that, and they definitely recommended not to do that in the documentary.
Oh, that was
Like,
that.
you should not
What's that?
do
No,
this.
it's that fucking show, man. That show where people have like weird fucking eating disorders. Like
it was.
One bitch was like, I love eating cigarette butts. Like, I love just finding a random ashtray and just eating that shit. I'm like, that is so like, oh. I remember waking up to my mom smoking filters because she was broke that week and buy fucking cigarettes. That shit
There's
was
a different thing to
gross.
eating them. Like,
Yeah, and then there was one bitch who loved to eat toilet paper. I was like, you do know that, like a direct line.
it is fiber though.
Oh my god.
You know, I mean,
Just cannot. With
we've
the human mind is a fascinating and mysterious thing.
it is, but Jesus Christ, you've taken it to the shithole right in the beginning.
Yeah, Jesus Christ needs to be a part of that equation for some people. And
Oh man, some people look. Jesus loves you, thank God, because I don't. That is one of the best things I say to myself in the car, especially when it's just a person like driving slow, something like that. Like, look, Jesus loves you,
yeah,
because somebody needs to. I just certainly don't.
really want to, man, but I'm gonna hand this off to Jesus. Jesus has you, brother.
He's got your wheel.
He'll put you in his hand.
He will hopefully help you with that accelerator. Jesus, just pop
What?
that
What?
foot
He's
down
got my
a
what?
little more.
No, I'm talking about Jesus. Like he's literally in your car
Yeah,
and he's
he's-
driving away. He's got your.
Jesus Christ, indeed. Dude, I showed you the 3,500-year-old cuneiform tablet that contains an ancient shopping receipt, right?
You know, my first thought about that was like, how about you walking around in the desert just looking for some shit to be like, oh, look what I discovered, and you trip over a 3,500-year-old fucking receipt or furniture. Like,
Yeah, wooden furniture. Like he bought a bed and a couch. It's not actually that interesting. I mean, if there's somebody who's willing to accept the return, Maybe? No?
Yeah.
Everyone's dead? All right, that didn't work out. We got your receipt.
Remember, my second thought was, you remember that Amazon robot that killed itself after 15 minutes of doing work?
That's like a Mr. Meeseeks. Existence is pain.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what I thought. So it's like, oh man, 3,500 years ago they were still getting fucking receipts, only they were clay. So imagine being the person working at a clay hole and finding out that your entire purpose is to create clay tablets for receipts.
What do you make? I make receipts. What?
Trust me, guys, if you're working at McDonald's, it could be so much worse. I'm not the guy supplying
the clay. I'm the guy making the receipts. You know, there was always that separation that somebody had to make the receipts. Somebody had to account for things happening. All right, even way back then, 35 to 5,500 years ago. They have have seen like receipts. They've seen complaints from customers not receiving their orders and stuff. So you had that Karen even all the way back then. That personality type has really survived throughout time. You think
customer
she's a new thing.
Desk.
She's not. She has just recently been called customer service desk Karen. That's just a new title. She's been around for a while, apparently.
Could you imagine, though, customer service in cuneiform? God, must have taken at least half a day. Like,
that was not.
What's your next complaint? Come back tomorrow. We're at the second
why
one
do you
down.
need this big of a clay tablet? I have a complaint. Do you need more than one? Let me come back and let you know. You got both sides. Both sides going around.
I wonder if they charged them for those tablets, though, because they had to pay somebody
to make them. Yeah.
So like you had to buy something,
sizes.
and then you had to buy a tablet to record the something that you bought.
Like you had specific sizes for receipts, specific sizes for legal documents, and other different kinds of legal forms. They had like a complete system with clay tablets.
I'm sorry.
And they knew trigonometry. They knew the Pythagorean theorem way before that guy.
There was literally generations of clay tablet makers who died doing nothing but settling for the best clay-looking tablet.
All right, what do you want to say? Okay.
How do you justify that being your purpose for living, though?
You're a scribe.
Like you take pride in making sure people know that they bought this.
This was made by Jeb. But you remember Jeb now. Jeb made this receipt. Jeb was actually, you know what? He was very thorough. Because everybody, like a lot of people, especially in ancient cultures, is believed like only priests and upper class would know how to read.
Yeah.
So, a lot like that's where Egypt went wrong. Got rid of the priest and like, oh, you guys can't read this? Like, no, I thought you could.
I let the Romans read a little bit because post the fucking sermons that they read out loud on like the Senate door.
They had an Egyptian Greek basic to where they would make these stelas. That's where the Rosetta Stone came from. It was like a stela of like, hey guys, this is also for the priests. This is for the Greeks. This is for you guys in the middle. So, like Greece back
then, you couldn't just say like, "I want to go to school." Like, if you wanted to learn, you had to commit to gods, commit to the military, or commit to politics.
You know what, man?
I want to be smart.
I'd like to be just like a merchant. Be like a merchant, son. Like, hey, how are you, man? I got this for sale. It would be so much better. It's just like, you could be a soldier. No. No, I'm good. At least if you're going to be in that time, like you can pick the right kind of like merchant. You can have a comfy ass life.
Oh man, it's too bad that Don didn't survive the battle of such and such.
Hang on, what year is it?
To learn the S. He was about to learn the S word.
That's right. I got to move out of this place soon. What? Nothing. You guys are going to love my new. I'm actually thinking about a new satellite store outside of this place I got to set up. I'm just going to be gone for a while for no reason. It's fine here. It's fine. You know?
Yeah,
And then the city
that's
falls,
strange.
and you're like, whew, I wasn't in it, but I got this stuff for sale. I'm telling you, you get like a merchant Highlander kind of thing going. That could be an awesome, funny comic. He was there in time, and he was just the merchant through time from the beginning. You make him like a Vandal Savage, but opposite. He's just a greedy fucker.
Vandal Savage.
He could be like
A Vandal Savage with a fucking TARDIS. Like, we gotta know what really happened. And just like, boop, touched it, TARDIS, take it away. Back in time, figures out everything about it. It's just some boring guy doing his best job.
You know, just this merchant. He's just always been a merchant through time. Just Babylon. I can only be here so much. You know, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, are you there, God? It's me.
Should
I leave now?
Oh man, if I showed up at Sodom and Gomorrah, I'd be like, "What year is it?" Okay, we got time. We got time.
Yeah. You know, you'd have to have some kind of bearing, but that's also assuming that they would tell you like, what year? Oh, blah blah blah, and you're like, I don't know what that is. Like, what do you mean? No, I'm not at that year. Maybe they had their own time.
Yeah, unless you had like
Because
a
you look at Sumer in the
predisposition on
Anunnaki.
education.
They had like a whole list of like, yeah, we ruled for like 200,000 years. Like, what? Yeah, we got a list of guys who did it. Okay. All right.
And then the families who followed suit.
I mean, they had wings, so they had to have Red Bull.
I think that was just symbolism for their ability to fly and be,
Okay.
kind of like birds. So if you're like a human and you're like flying, but you didn't know because there wasn't a word for spaceship.
Okay.
Like you would just be like, okay, it flies, so let's just give them wings.
Clearly.
I mean, a lot of the letters didn't even exist in most of the language in Babylonian, early Mesopotamian, and even early Latin.
Yeah.
Like the J in Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that was new.
Yeah.
J
that
didn't
was-
exist back then.
That was Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Shakespeare created the J.
Yeah.
That's why when
Well,
you look at a lot of that older stuff, the J isn't there, and you're like, "What? Why did you say?" Oh, that's right. You don't have that word. You're
Yeah,
gonna love
and
that
then
word.
you fall into that landslide where like you get covered in mud and you get trapped once you realize the church went to very extreme lengths, repurpose a lot of things, language, Bible, beliefs, military.
Yeah.
They helped make England England.
Yeah, they had a good bit to do with that. Yeah, they did. You know.
You study it; it's almost like a how-to guide on ruling the world, one section at a time, from compartment to compartment.
Yeah, but my
A
favorite.
narcissist guide to ruling a globe.
My favorite thing to mention then is also that they did a study on the inbred family lines and heirs. You know who
Yeah.
were the worst kings? The most inbred.
Yeah.
You get far enough down that Targaryen line, you start to get some, special brothers.
A lot of the Egyptian rulers, like, inbred. I think the youngest one was
The
like
jaw
13.
starts
Had like
to jut back some.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen those people out. They have no chin.
weird deformities.
Yeah.
Like the foot.
Yeah. Where it's not supposed to be.
And yeah.
Where it's not. Like,
Or just a normal size.
Or a club. There's a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
can happen. Vast multiverse.
Lots
out
of stuff. Elseworld situation.
there. Speaking of the British Empire and Elseworld, which is here, the British Army shows off a new speed of light laser weapon.
Oh yeah.
Who told the British they could do this?
Probably the same people that told us that we could build sonic boom weapon.
Speed of light laser weapon firing at the top of a British Army combat vehicle, so it probably won't start. It will be able to shoot you from where it is. It may not be able to get to you, but it will be able to shoot.
Great. The British have a death laser. Light already travels at the speed of light, so I don't know
Did
why
it wrong.
they
A
would call it that.
laser.
A laser.
Just don't let them put it on the moon and make it a Death Star.
Well, someone's got to explain why that motherfucker is hollow.
They call it the UK Ministry of Defence's Land Laser Direct Energy Weapon, LDEU. Demonstrator program developed with weapon which has now been tested at a firing range in Porton Down, Salisbury. According to the Ministry of Defense, the groundbreaking test was successful, with the laser able to neutralize targets further than a kilometer away. 0.6 miles away.
Not to be a Debbie Downer on their
speed of light.
Success. But China already did this to Hawaii, so I don't know what they're celebrating. And there was a mass declaration in the beginning of the year of direct energy weapons don't exist. Okay.
Yet.
What's that, British? You have one now?
Hey, we got one. What? Yeah, we got one. It's actually not that hard. We got one. We got it on a truck. Leave it to the British. No, we put it on a truck.
There's a guy going around blowing whistles.
Put it on a lorry.
There's conspiracy cons about America and Russia having like earthquake machines in Antarctica. Secret bases.
I mean, you know, if that's what my tax dollars are really going to, there's a conspiracy there that, you know, somebody needs to get a better accountant.
Yeah, no, it's like one of those.
An agreement.
Fuck,
I pay
can't
you.
remember which.
You know, you do stuff and not that. You know.
I can't remember what show.
Maybe fix the roads.
It's like a villain who hires oh yeah, it was the fucking Kingpin show. The show they did. Oh my god, that chick from the Hawkeye show. Spot.
Haley Steinfeld or the
Indian one.
Blink. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
So Kingpin hires an interpreter, and then like he kills her.
Yeah.
Because she knows too much. It's like that's what happens to the accountants. They get hired to do a job, and at the end they think they're about to get paid, and they get paid.
You know, condolences to your family. What?
Right.
I've seen enough episodes of Blacklist to know. Did a podcast with Corey Castle, the indie pro wrestler, with his own podcast, Evolving with Corey Castle, which is going to be coming out either before us or after us. But he was an extra in Blacklist. He was a pool player.
Nice.
He was also in like M. Night Shyamalan, Last Airbender. He's been in like a bunch of different movies, TV stuff. Corey is an amazing guy. So that's definitely another podcast, the Tales of the Hunted podcast. Frank and I talked to Corey, which those two with the corny jokes, you already know. It was an awesome podcast. So that's going to be coming out too. But, you know, when you look at the British, though, I mean, that's like giving us access to the light speed laser. And, like, should you be giving this to me? Like, yeah, but we made it. Okay. Like, why the British? I mean, we definitely probably have one. We just don't tell people. Like, yeah, we got 7, but, you know.
This reminds me of a GIF I saw the other day on Facebook. I follow quite a few history type sites that just post random. And there's a guy who tried to sell a high tech, at the time, cannon system, fucking the Emperor of Constantinople.
Okay.
And he declined, and a year later he sold it to the Ottoman Empire, and they used it to crush Constantinople.
You know,
so it's just like, it's one of those things where like you get a brand new weapon, what do you do?
It's Netflix and Blockbuster, just in a different age.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's like, there has to come a time where like you build so much, you're like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do with it? You have the UN, and there's some system of peace here. You can't go fucking out just shooting countries and holding them hostage, because that would make you an enemy to everybody.
Yeah.
So what do you need it for? What do we need all the fucking defense for, and all these high tech like direct energy weapons for who? We getting ready for an invasion that you guys just aren't going to tell us about till last minute? Oh, by the way,
Aliens are real.
here, and they're not so
Hey, we
they're
got
not
direct
so
light
friendly.
speed laser weapons now. Wow, that seems sudden.
Yeah.
Hey, China also made fusion possible a little bit. We got a steady stream that's positive efficiency. You're like, okay. And
Yeah, they're talking about making a fake sun.
You know, and you guys are like, oh, you make a fake sun. All right, so China's going to have the first TARDIS.
Yeah, they did it in a direct like underground lab.
I mean, I know the British people thought of the idea long ago, but if we're looking realistically today, who could probably get the TARDIS going with that black hole technology fastest? Who are you going to put your money on? I mean, China, they're making an artificial sun. they're working towards it. They're making some big steps.
Bill Gates is going to make the food synthesizer that we all see in Star Trek. So.
Have you read the book Trekonomics? I've listened to it on Audible, and it's all centered. Their basic economy in Trekonomics is saying like, well, yeah, it's all centered around that replicator that you can literally make whatever you want. So that money and necessity need for what do you need? It's right. Go to the replicator.
Yeah, but
just have a purpose.
So much science to unpack there, man. And like, what would everybody do if you had a replicator? Like, make me a PS5. Like, you'd have everything you wanted in your house.
Yeah.
Like, what? You wouldn't need to go to work. I
mean, in today's day and age,
is going to be assassinated.
Don't need to go to work. You got like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds getting millions of dollars and buying mansions. You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird one with the game streaming and stuff like that. Like,
bunch of little fucking Richies running around.
Yeah, man.
Golf carts.
You know.
I tell you what, though, that'd be an exciting time for content creators.
Oh man, it's just like a bunch of kids living out rich. That one Blank Check movie.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's like, these kids just get a blank check, and it's just like Funland all over the place, man. You know, it's fine. Good for you. You may want to invest. Just saying.
Yeah, that movie was kind of mockery. You know, our currency blank check. Oh yeah, this kind of resembles printers that we
just put it
off
in
whatever the fuck we need.
Adult would ever do that with a child. Like, just put in something. A kid. Okay, bud, you deserve to get took. That was a dumb move.
Yeah.
What was it, like $1 million?
Yeah, I think it was like $1 million. He bought like a mansion, and he threw a party. He got a limo driver.
Everywhere. He bought like a screen of big screen TVs. He had like the giant duck, the go-kart ring. He had like you still have money left? I get it was the 90s, but bro, you bought a mansion?
He was like a teenage Scrooge McDuck.
You know, it was just like, okay.
But instead of him swimming in his money was a yard.
That was a good movie, but it was also like, God, I want to see receipts. Show me receipts.
Yeah.
Would you buy?
The end was like he gave the rest of the money back. Like there was no.
Yeah. We'll type this in Google. What'd you spend on that? IRS is like, excuse me. Would you buy? Where's mine? They're gonna want.
Yeah, if you inject some reality and.
Yeah, man, keep receipts.
A lot of stuff going on here, and nothing happened. Like, where was the IRS guys? The Men in Black. Just 3 criminals chasing a kid around. Like, why were they allowed to do that?
I'm telling you, that's where the Men in Black really came from. It was just these IRS agents that saw an alien and just said, "Hey, you're parking here? Who are you paying for that parking permit? That thing's way too big." They caught him in the act. It's like, oh, damn, they told me about these guys.
Oh, man.
And that's how the IRS created the Men in Black.
A Hollywood conspiracy strike fear into the hearts of people pay their taxes every year.
Oh man, we can still get Tommy Lee Jones because Rip Torn's dead. He was in prison before that for that bank thing, man. That guy had a shaky past at the end there, but you know, he was a good Zed. He was good.
Oh yeah,
the whole gun in the
and I
bank
loved
thing.
him. I loved him in Super
Hard to
Troopers.
recover from that. Just sitting in the bank. It's not like he's stolen. He was sitting there with the gun.
We're not a host on intergalactic.
It wasn't even open.
They should have made like a scene of them opening an intergalactic.
You know, Rip Torn and thrown aside, but you gotta mention Rip Torn.
That was
talking about Men in Black.
That was a funny man.
Oh man, hang on. I'll pat my own back sometimes. It's fine.
Hey.
Oh man,
That's got mobility.
Mobility and a 5 million year old taco anthropod is a hunter with a trident tooth. So
No,
they found
all I heard was taco.
They found a detailed fossil study that reveals insights into a new lifestyle of Cambrian anthropod, and it's like a sardine with like spiky tail, and then around the head there's like a taco shell.
Really?
Yeah, I think I sent that one to you.
That sounds terrifying.
Army.
Like a taco-headed
Yeah,
fucking
I sent
sardine?
that to you. That's the second to the last article I sent to you is about the taco. About the million-year-old, 500 million year old, 500 million years ago, there was a taco fish. This is what you get out of a silly little podcast. Some knowledge, son.
Oh, that looked like a circumcised plant.
It looks like something did something very wrong to like one of those fish that live down deep by the bottom of the ocean, and they just covered it up.
There's something wrong with his underpants. It's a little fuggery.
I mean, it's got like a lot of little tendrils underneath, and there's the protective taco layer. So you know, it's really gross.
It looks like a Nike.
In the finished podcast, I will add right here the image of this taco fish because it's kind of disturbing.
I hope so.
It's disturbing, you know.
Yeah, because right now people are thinking about a.
They're looking it up. They're looking up the taco. Fish. Yeah, they're definitely looking it up already. But I'm going to show the image because my God, it's a disturbing kind of picture. You know, there are when you look at fish like that, especially deep down, there are a lot of like fucking scary looking fish.
All right, man. So you gotta show the second pic, like a fossilized picture. How the fuck did they get a taco shell out of it? It looks more like a praying mantis.
You can see the deflated taco there. No, I've seen crusty taco shells. That fits, and then it has the little shrimp tail. So that's probably where if you were gonna eat it, you would chop it off there and cook it up like a lobster tail, a little butter.
They even mandibles.
A little butter and a little salt and pepper.
In this picture, Mike is seeing a fucking praying mantis tail.
A praying mantis trying to put on a jacket. Like it's a little cold.
Maybe like a fucking mantis mermaid. That's terrifying.
It's a cold mantis mermaid life, you know.
Don't listen to that fucking song. That's a nightmare.
That sounds depressing. Oh my God.
Instead of a song, it's a like a smell of tacos. Like you follow it and it's like gets slashed up. It's right there.
Let's see. So it does have the mandibles, but its spine along the length of the body. Researchers found 300 sets of legs with small spines that could create a mesh to capture prey with. So it was like a menace for small creatures. It had 30 sets of legs to just say, "Come here, nephew. Let me lend something. Give me some money." You know, it's like, "Hang on, man. I don't have any money. Leave me alone."
Hey, you ever try to picture God while he's? I've tried to do this. And when you fucking
Did you say
discover
picture
shit
God
like
while
a
he's
mantis
taking a
mermaid
crap?
or a taco fish, you just wonder if it's a dude in a giant white room and he's just throwing paint at a fucking tarp. He just touches it and he's that's 300
This was
legs.
500
That
million
works.
years ago. It was his early stuff. It was like playing Spore. You're just trying to get to where you need, you know? Like, this is how I get to the next level. I got to make this taco fish.
Hey,
Right.
Metatron.
I'm going to make it look like a
good?
praying mantis
No.
with these mandibles. He's going to have a taco and 30 legs. And he's going to terrorize small creatures. He's going to be, he is kind of like a praying mantis taco.
Oh my god.
It's terrifying.
Like, could you imagine an anthology written by
A praying mantis taco?
like from the perspective of plankton? You have to see
Yeah.
that like plankton is like the microscopic life form of the ocean. So like everything that happens, plankton experienced in a time.
And it has a big
huge
role, yeah, in the whole ecology.
Imagine like a little tiny plankton city, like from fucking SpongeBob, and here comes a huge fucking taco, praying mantis, mermaid fish,
30
fucking
of your
just
best
300
friends
legs, and
snatched
that
up
was their
right
god.
in front of you.
Yeah,
and you're
that
like,
was
oh my
that was their
God,
Godzilla.
I guess the barbecue's over.
That was their Godzilla. Oh no, it's Taco Mermaid.
I'm just like,
I'm too visual.
you know, it's a terrifying creature, but you know, when you look at a lot of like the fish creatures in general, even the old ones, like what was it, the trilobites.
Yeah.
Nice hard shell, little stinger there, but you flip them over, they're fucking like little goddamn insects. Terrifying.
You know what I can't understand though? Why do most crustaceans or weird fucking feet long like fish that live deep, they have legs? They're fucking.
I mean, it may be useful for capturing other things in the dark, bringing it to your mouth.
I don't know. Like it makes sense if they were.
Just like, why would you have a light? You can easily be eaten by something bigger, but you know what? The smaller stuff, they're gonna like, what is that light? It is brilliant. You're like, yeah, gotcha,
guess,
bitch.
If God were making a video game, I guess everything could be OP. I'm just gonna make an augmentation here. 4 extra legs, give it a little bit more mobility, and they can swim their way. That's
It's Christmas. I'll give this one a light. He's deep down there.
Patch notes to be continued.
You know, I mean, hey, he had options, guys. He had options. Like, you know what? How about I try this? One of my favorite conspiracies, to give it a break here. One of my favorite conspiracies is to the Hollow Earth, because even Doctor Who has that episode of the Hollow Earth, and it's so entertaining. And my God, that is such.
I think it's real.
Hollow Earth.
It has to be real. Yeah, it has to be real. You got like
Does it?
huge fucking like the hole in like Peru where there's huge fucking ecosystem down there. Or the one in is it Hongqi, China, or in Japan?
You know, there's caves and caverns. It's really rocky.
Like, okay, so you remember the Mortal Kombat movie?
There's been a couple. I've seen a few.
The first one from the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, then they had the second
original?
one, purple sequel.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay, so they had the sequel where they killed off Johnny Cage. I don't know what the fuck they did. But
They
Sony
didn't even
was still hot in
add
that
Johnny
movie.
Cage in the remake, so you know, at least they had him
Sidebar.
to kill off.
So they go underground, right? And Tana like takes him to this huge fucking like gravimetric ball that shoots him into this network of volcanoes.
Yes.
Volcano system. Like that was kind of like my introduction to Inner Earth, like because you think about how they get around. Like, okay, so they have to, like, gotta be like different types of environments there. So why not there be some type of fucking air tunneling It runs on gravimetric. You can see lava shit.
Somebody found a different way.
There's an awareness, man.
I mean, look, I don't.
Inner Earth is a thing.
I don't know if I believe like that whole, there's some hollow Earth there. I mean, aliens though, they're definitely real.
Oh, come on, dude. What about the fucking in the Middle East when they were digging for Noah's Ark? They found those cave tunnels. Like it could hold up to 21,000 people.
Yeah, that's probably from originally the Younger Dryas, because those cave networks they can't date, so they could have been made.
Right? And you ever heard the term "digging your way to China"?
Oh yeah.
Like we're putting dots together here, okay? In fucking America, there are 44,000 tunnels that lead. So like, you hear about neighborhoods who like have these secret entrances connected together.
Mm-hmm.
Or what about that dude who took a?
There's a lot of those in
like
Italy
Wisconsin.
because they just built on top of each other. You're like, nah, just knock it down a little bit. It's level. All right, we'll build up from here. It's a good foundation.
Yeah, they talk about that in Futurama. Like New York, New York was built on top of old New York, and that's where the mutants live.
Yeah.
Or even fucking oh god, what is that movie that James Cameron made? Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah.
When she goes down to fight Bakura or whatever the fuck that dude's name is, like there's a huge city under there. Like there's so many different references to connect that.
Yeah, to that underground.
At least
city.
an awareness of like an underground inner city, inner Earth type thing. They talk about like the moon being hollow.
I'd link that to that time where there was for 1,000 years, just meteors hitting the Earth. Like, when are you going to go underground? That seems like a very convenient time, especially if you already have the ability to carve into rock. You're like, you know what? Here's where we're living. Go downstairs for water. It's all right. Just tell Grandma I said hi. She's already down there.
It would be cool to find out that we weren't supposed to be living on the surface this whole time. Like, we were supposed to be living in the surface. And, like, at some point, we got lost up here.
We were, like, like molds, and evolved from there. So, from the ground, back to the ground,
I don't know.
Up to the clouds.
Speculation.
We have other planets to infect. You kidding? We can't stop here. We have American ideals to bring to Zaltar 5.
If I had that device that fucking Vandal Savage had, I could prove a lot of that shit. But I don't, sadly, because we're still at direct energy weapons, so not quite there yet.
It's one of my favorite times because you can't really say what happened, because if there were a bunch of giant floods, so water is not discriminatory, and it's non-compressible. There's a lot of it. Fucked.
Well, yeah.
Talk to Louisiana.
Water.
The levee broke. Why?
I survived the 2015 flood.
And why? The levee broke. Why? What, you guys weren't maintaining that? We were getting around to it.
Oh, who's to say fucking they didn't open it like they did in Hurricane Katrina? China's massacred a bunch of their people on purpose by opening. In fact, their entire ecosystem, levee system, they use to directly modify traffic of their country living folk.
Well, that's China. It's like China, and then there's a business, and guess what? That's tied to the government. So you have the government and the government. Who do you want to work with? The government? Sounds good. You're working for the government. Welcome. Don't say anything.
Yeah, we need a fucking weed bomb just to get everybody the fuck out.
You know what, man? Yeah.
Society.
You know what? On Lugnot's podcast, I always talk about stories like this next one because it's a hydrogen-powered air taxi that breaks record with the longest flight without emissions. Flying prototype has gone farther without burning fossil fuels. 523 miles over California.
And if you go into the U.S. Patent Department files, you can probably find about at least a dozen. And then the creators who mysteriously died under circumstances.
Oh, yeah, there was that guy that just, it was like an engine powered on air, and he just...
Yeah.
Where'd he go? Who are you talking about? It's like a Doctor Who episode, like with the crack in time. You're like, I don't know who you mean. It was just us. We're the only two here, and you're like, uh-oh.
Men in
There's
time
no
suits.
time crack. You're fearful for your life at that point. Like, no, I never knew that guy. You're right. It was only us.
He was evacuated by the Council of Ricks. This guy's fucking with our timeline. Take him out.
Get him, Morty.
Oh man, gee.
Could you imagine that? You just call it Jobby. That's because that's in the picture. What's on the wing. So I'm assuming in the future you'll just get the app. Like, oh, hang on, I'm gonna go visit my mom. She's down in like Florida right now. Jobby's here. All right, bye guys. Hydrogen powered air taxi. You're just like, hey, so where you going? Going to Florida, huh? Ah, no problem. Only emissions are water. That
One of
would
those
be a crazy
places
ride.
and has like rail car or bullet train systems that come through, and like when they get off the bullet train, it's like in their apartment houses.
Oh yeah, Japan.
And that's how kids get to school.
They
like,
have
it's
like
fucking
bullet trains.
wild.
They have bullet train stops like built into the architecture, and that's the bus
Yeah,
stop.
it's
Like,
crazy.
It's like, oh, level 27. Yeah, that's where the train stop is.
But it's like they put their kids on there.
Dude,
I'm like, what if something happened to the bullet train? Wouldn't you feel like a horrible parent?
a child in Tokyo can like literally go to school, come home by themselves, completely safe, and it is actually statistically safer than anywhere else in the world.
That's hard to believe without experiencing it for myself, man. Because
You can't own a gun. It is
you can't own a firearm, you can't own a sword, like
ramifications for owning a gun, and even police, they have it locked up, and they have to get permission to use their gun. It is, and you can't have a gun. It is, especially weapons and everything, man. Japan is
my
very
issue
locked down.
My issue with the Japanese on that idealistic structure though goes against every prospect that was engineered by like Miyamoto, all their great proverbs, all their great emperors that died, like all their information that died after the 1800s.
Oh yeah,
When the fucking black sails showed up. Like it's great, but like what if something happened? Like who's gonna save them? Because nobody's got anything to protect themselves. They're just like a bunch of penguins who can't fly away. They're just sitting ducks. They're like a fucking shooting gallery, and then a tiger shows up and starts clawing motherfuckers. Like, what are they gonna do? They could just run and hide. They got no weapons.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, blunt force objects maybe like a.
Well, there was
100%, man.
There was a certain incident that told us, like, hey, you guys aren't allowed to have an army. You can have a defense force. You can't have an army.
That's their fault for Midway.
There was an incident, we were not going to say who started who.
You beat around the bush. She likes it when you play with her clit. Pearl Harbor, motherfucker. Yeah. It's Pearl Harbor.
All right. It may have started it.
Kamikaze wasn't a great idea. Like, we commend you with the seppuku type shit, but,
when they add that in
Americans
anime,
were too prideful.
It's still like, I saw one anime, and it started off this assassin. He ended up killing his fiance's dad because he thought he was bringing in opium it was Revengers on Crunchyroll, and he thought he was bringing in opium into Japan, so he assassinates him. But then you see after he runs away, the dad comes to as he's bleeding out, and he takes a gold coin and he chomps down on it, and then a white-haired figure comes and pulls the coin out of his mouth. And that's the Revengers. It's this person who's been wronged. Why? And they get revenge on the person that wronged them. So it's a really good premise of an anime. But so this guy they convince him like, hey man, you gotta go along with this. Let them believe that you're dead. And then of course, the wife, her fiance dies, her dad dies. Guess what she does? Knife to the throat. And you're like, wow, this was a cool anime. And then you went there. There's certain things that anime, they just like, yeah, what, we're just going to start off this very season with a rape scene. What? Slap an anime on it and you can just keep it to yourself. And you're like, man, there's some anime that you're like, all right, man, I thought this was going to be like one of those things. Hey, it's a skeleton guy, but it just, they go into it. You know, there's a lot of really dark stuff. So you got to read the descriptions, man.
Yeah, because they took all their weapons, so all they do is fantasize about that shit all day. Like, I really wish I could cut that motherfucker's head off. Like, let's write a whole series about it. Like, that's one thing that they could do really well. It's tell a story. But
And
oh my god, some of that shit is so
look
cynical.
When you look at anime explosions, what do they look like? Like somebody dropped a nuclear bomb, maybe? How many of them really? I know you're coloring that a different color, but
I was saying Cat Williams, like, listen here, motherfuckers, you gotta forgive them, okay? Stop making all this crazy shit. You just gotta forgive yourself. Forgive your ancestors for bombing up those white boys in Hawaii, okay? Move on. Move past this shit. Smoke a joint and be okay, all right?
I'm telling you, man, there may be a problem
Let him
with
Cat
radiation. All right, radiation through lines. We dropped 2 bombs. 2 bombs to get them right. You know, like sugars in a coffee. They're like, are we gonna do 1? No, 2. 2 bombs.
America just goes down in history for being the one with the balls to drop 1. I mean, who knows what would have happened if we didn't drop 1? Someone might have dropped 4, and the world could look like a really fucked up place.
Oh,
right
it would
now.
look
we
like
could
Fallout.
have mutants in New York.
Yeah, it would look like Fallout. You crawl out through the Fallout and kill that rad roach while you're at it. We locked it in the front room. Thanks for stopping by.
I mean, yeah. I
You
mean,
got a
Germany
knife,
could have got a
right?
hold of
We
one.
got
And
one.
like,
Hang
this is
on.
for World War One. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, as soon as one dropped 1, everybody was like, "That's what that shit does."
You know what? I think
Well,
that's enough. I think that's enough. We did enough.
yeah.
Cold War happened. We made a lot.
How long does it take to make a direct
Everyone
energy
made a
weapon?
lot.
120 years. Oh, let's go with that.
So I'm going to tell I'll have to tell you a funny story after the podcast that reminded me of, but I did watch a Cold War documentary later this week, and it was good.
Yeah?
It's on Max. It's about spies and stuff. I started going through that, but just at the wrong time.
There's a sweet lady, man, who brought me comics last night when I was at work because
That's
I had my notebook open. I was working on this IPM building. It's called The Adventures of Commander Roy and Rex Raptor, which is basically like fucking Rick and Morty meets Flash Gordon.
Okay.
And I had this page open, and it had I was working on a layout, and she was just like, she put her stuff on the counter, and she kind of looked at it. She's like, "What is that?" And I was like, this is what I do for a living outside this work. So she brought me comics yesterday, and the reason I bring it up because one of them is called Above the 38th Parallel, which is actually based on a Marine's account during the Cold War with the Archangel Saint Michael, which he actually in the comic book at the back of the book is the original letter from the Marine that he wrote to his mother about the account of the story. I thought it was fucking phenomenal.
That's a nice addition to add in.
Yeah, man. When I get done reading it, if you want to, I'll mail it to you.
It's good.
Or you can come read it when you guys come down.
Yeah, because
The
we might as
location
well
scout.
mention right now as a nice little ad segment here that we are working on doing a Lug Nuts special, gang. Steve and I are going to be hitting the road, and we're going to be driving down to Mississippi, and we're going to do a docuseries all the way down.
Cruising, baby. Cruising the coast.
Yeah, we're working out the details to go to Cruising the Coast down in Mississippi with Mike. We are going to finally meet the inevitable Mike. And you know what? It was inevitable.
Inevitable.
I'm
Oh,
excited
man.
for this, man, because you know, a lot of the projects that I'm getting involved with are getting a lot of attention, which are, you know, I mean, two things came out, two little things, billboards on the PA Turnpike with pictures of myself and my business partner, Chris Bristow, you know, and my book. Son of a bitch. And my book, Picture Perfect Small Towns, York and Media, PA. Available on Amazon today. And if you buy it before you see me on my September event, September 27th at Wineyard, Nottingham, PA, I will sign the book for you. And I'll have some books there for sale.
Plug.
And you know, also individual pictures. So I got a lot of stuff going on. Oh, Saturday. I thought I said Saturday, but I said September.
Yeah,
this
he's
Saturday.
got a legitimate agent in your ear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this Saturday. This Saturday, September 27th. Like, no, I meant Saturday, not September. So yeah.
Oh, it's Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes,
This
say Saturday. Say Saturday, man.
another Saturday. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Willman.
From the TARDIS.
Yeah. Look, somebody has to make sure I say the right words. It's a hard job sometimes. But nah, man, it's there's a lot of different events that we are doing, especially with the docu-series going down there. It's the perfect event to really have some special stuff that see if I can plan along the way and see what we can do. And going to the car show alone is going to be a huge event. So it's kind of get down there.
You're going to see cars that you probably haven't seen in fucking 20 years.
Live Lugnuts podcast from the car show and traveling back. So that is the special, and it's exciting, you know.
And hopefully it produces another book.
Now, and that's why I also wanted to put out here on the silly little podcast that if anybody along the way wants to sponsor the Lugnuts docu-series, contact us at pjandwh.com or paandwh@gmail.com, and we will answer you back. Shameless plug of this.
Someone will.
Someone will.
Shit.
Someone will.
Someone will get back to you.
We're like Motel 6. We leave the light on for you. But yeah,
Oh, man.
Just a lot of the stories that I got tonight were just from I fucking love science, and it's one of my favorite things is going through here and just seeing like NASA streams 4K video from ISS using laser ahead of the moon landings because you need 4K. We're in that culture. You need 4K.
Yeah, the conspiracy theorists. That's one thing they didn't have in the 60s. It was like really splotchy. Really fuzzy. You had 4K. You remember that Nikon shot I showed you? The reels, the guy pointing at the moon?
Yes.
Yeah, we need that resolution up in space.
Oh yeah, that's also like at least $1,000 just for the camera. I'm sending you another article that is right along our conversation lines because I just told you I fucking love science. Magic mushrooms desynchronize your brain for up to 3 weeks. Psilocybin obliterates your neutral fingerprint.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, Professor Xavier couldn't fucking see me.
When you're on mushrooms.
Like, you'd be blind. Like, Magneto could take a vacation with his helmet off.
And it does say, which could explain how psychedelics help to alleviate depression and other mental health conditions.
Where the fuck was this at in the 70s? We were locking people up for this shit.
There's a little guy called
Oh,
Timothy
man.
Leary. There were a lot of psilocybin studies, and, you know, not the best people came out of them.
Well, I know.
CIA used to dose Johns who were going to, like, prostitute brothels, and they were a one-sided mirror. They'd dose them up with LSD, and just see how they react. Your tax
Persistent
dollars.
weakening of connectivity patterns with men has previously linked to so-called psychedelic afterglow effect. Motherfucker, you mean I could be glow in the dark?
Man.
Oh, man.
When you have a trip into that world, it is. You got to be in the right place, man. You can't be one of those kids who just decide to do this out in public. You're just like, wow.
I wish we had
going on
After
here?
Effects so we could do a transition and like our heads be glowing and our eyes be glowing with the lights off and shit.
Yeah, Adobe is a fucking bitch because you can't do anything without a subscription. I hate that.
Yeah, I know. Fuck subscription services. Man. That's
DaVinci
so
Resolve
stupid.
is great. We'll see.
I think eventually subscription services are going to reach a peak, and when they do, they're just going to have to be open source.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
It's going to be the only way that content generation elevates content from where it is now.
Okay. I mean, what do you think about like Neuralink and all those sci-fis that have like that interface in your eyeballs and you're just constantly hooked up to a feed? You know it.
Yeah, like science. There's that FBI Academy show on Hulu. We talked about future FBI agents having one eye where
there was
connected to like a
Black Mirror episode
neural
where they had like contacts. Yeah. It was wild.
Oh no, this was an actual cybernetic eye that was linked to the FBI database.
Oh wow.
They tracked you. Yeah, they tracked you. You could use it to look up, like, you know, all the fingerprint, the license plate, the identification process takes 4 or 5 people, a bunch of computer, lots of electricity. You could do it with one eye in 3 seconds on this neural network.
Wow.
And you could do it all in real time. And it went as far as even recreating like imprinting. So if you've ever played Arkham Knight from Batman,
yeah,
Batman was able to like follow trace chemical elements, creating a computerized trail that he was able to follow using a different filter of light within his suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like on that fucking level.
So we're gonna
like
get to
FBI
Cyberpunk
cybernetics.
2099 real quick, to where we're just gonna have people who are augmented and other people who are not, like traditionalists. Like, I'm risque. I have a tattoo. Like, oh,
well, yeah, it's like that. It's like that in Battle Angel
face.
Alita too. There's like, you got Cyberball, and like they augment themselves to be the next level of athletes. They play this super dangerous game, and you got some people who are just like sifting through life. But her stepfather, her dad, or whatever, in the book that's basically what he is. He's a cybernetic medical doctor.
Yeah,
he like replaces people's cybernetic parts, and he redid her entire body.
Well, since we're in sci-fi, what about the hologram doctor from Voyager? Because that guy was just an emergency program, but they had him open so long, he developed his own personality and became.
Well, that dude, that's already here. The only thing that's missing from the equation is the hologram and the sentience part. But like, there's hospitals right now toying with surgery by robots. I mean, they're pre-programmed to do certain surgeries, and it's working all around the world.
Would you do a surgery, Big Brother, by a robot?
For what?
Like a major surgery, would you let a robot do it?
Is it certified?
Is the robot certified?
I mean, are we talking parameters? Because, I mean, if you're programming something...
I mean, if it's a maintenance droid, no. But if it's like a surgeon...
So this is how without any education or understanding of the technology.
It has the updated drivers.
You would have to go through a pre-med process where they get your weight and all that shit, and they plug all those parameters into a machine. And then it makes incision and it removes the thing. On a spectral level, it can see blood vessels better than a human could. So
I get
Yeah,
that because especially
Yeah.
when you have a droid's eye that would be able to detect, like just in Star Wars alone, they have their
Yeah.
medical droids all over. Especially when you look at the expanded universe novels, there's like, oh no, a whole Jedi wing, and they got droids, and hey man, boop,
yeah.
there's your shot. Later.
I mean, dude, it's gonna be the next autonomous spiritual battle. We're gonna look at it from
Here's the
a
thing.
religious aspect. We're like, we're selling our soul for physical, materialistic objects. Because spirituality is not based in physical; it's metaphysical. So
Yeah.
we talk about the spirit, where like you turn back into energy because it's what we are. Energy. Energy's never wasted; it just goes somewhere else
Yeah, it's converted.
that we can't describe. Just it exists.
It's a law.
And then you get into like
There's
the
a couple
layers of
important
dimensions.
laws.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like people getting stuck in this dimension because augmentation is the new discrimination war. It's not gonna be black and white or racism. It's gonna be cybernetic augmented motherfuckers and non-cybernetics. It's gonna be cybernetics and non-cybernetics.
People.
I mean,
will
we've had sci-fi movies on that shit like this whole
Yeah.
time. Even if you played Cyberpunk 2077,
That
you got
was what it was,
non-cybernetics,
77,
like cursed cybernetic people.
But
Yeah.
that it is going to turn into that, to where Edge Runners is a really, really good anime.
Oh my
That's a
God, that's probably-
masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's a really good fucking story.
Oh,
I think it's the mother-son aspect that really does
Yeah.
it for me,
yeah,
on a
yeah.
personal level. But like, regardless of the cybernetics and the environment and the story itself, the story setting, rather, the story itself is still so rooted in humanity and the human condition
Yes.
that it's a great love story.
Hmm.
Not a romantic love story, but it's a great love.
Yes.
I mean, it has a love story in
Yeah,
it, but
it has the.
it's a
deeper love,
great family dynamic love story. Like there's a lot of pain, there's suffering, there's love, there's betrayal on
Yeah.
massive scale.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so good. So
But
good.
it also
we could do a whole other
has-
podcast on
It
that
has
fucking
like
show.
a gangster anime West Side Story feel to it.
Yeah. Cyber West Side.
Cyber West Side Story. You know what I mean? It's really,
Yeah.
it is really good.
Yeah.
I loved Edge Runners because with that augmentation, you would have that cyber psychosis happen to where if you got too many augs, you'll go psycho. That was a nice thing. They
Yeah.
actually added into the game
Yeah.
after that anime came out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's like our version of like, what if we went too far?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like
But there are
brains
still
and
things in that game
Nanoparticles.
that human beings are still acting the same. You still have the family and the tribalism in the desert towns. You have that a lot of the seediness of just humanity in the corporate zones, and a lot of the there's a lot of different.
Yeah.
It's a really good view at the futuristic humanity, and a
Well,
vast
there's
amount of different
something about the vid
Mhm.
that they've started talking about recent like events that's come out, and it's basically on the study of nanoparticle technology inside the mRNA vaccines. And what scientists are seeing on a microscopic level is there being some form of nanotechnology that's actually using the host as a bioorganic fuel and is replacing its organic to create more nanoprocessing. So if you talk about augmentations and its effect on the body, just by studying and connecting what they're talking about in the mRNA vaccinations, and it's likely that if you interface with too many devices, that it could end up being your body as organic fuel to stabilize on an electrical level that causes your brain to
Because
neurologically.
you have so many different
Just-
augments,
yeah.
it needs to power it somehow. And it's
So to
tapping
simplistically
out the
put it, it's
battery.
like having a battery and hooking up way too much shit to it.
You have 17 subwoofers. Why? Have you heard of a capacitor?
Yeah.
What's a capacitor?
I
No
mean, it
wonder
regulates
this
and
thing's
isolates.
about to blow up.
So I was like, why is there not an oscillator connected to these capacitors on this bucket battery that's got way too much? Like,
God,
where's your backup? What's a backup? Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Like- Yeah, it's totally possible, man. And you know what's kind of crazy to me though? I think in terms of what Einstein said about the definition of insanity. Why is there still a slum in a futuristic world with augmentations that are supposed to change the way the human condition is experienced? If technology is such a great thing, why do humans constantly tell stories that we struggle? I mean, is it the entertainment factor?
Well,
Or is it the fact that we can't see ourselves as being worthy of being in an altruistic future where there is no suffering? It's like something deeply rooted in humanity where we have to tell stories about our suffering as if we're
back to
all
survival.
connected to this grand fucking trauma.
Well, yeah, it comes back to survival, and human beings will always fight each other. They will.
Isn't
always
that
find a
insane
way.
though? Like, isn't
fight.
that insane though? Like, do we not deserve a future, even if it does occur with technology, where like we have no need or want for anything?
Here's the thing. I think there will always. You're not going to have that ideological utopia with like Star Trek, where everything is fixed by a replicator. That thing would not be commercially sold. It would be hidden, and you would just see a lot of stuff pop up for really cheap. Let's be honest.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's an example, though.
Empire shall
Like-
survive.
Like
The best
it's
option.
almost
I
as
mean,
if
whew,
it's
have you
almost
looked
as
at
if
communism.
it's almost as if though there are like different types of humans on like organic structures. So like you and I look similar. We're humans. We recognize each other as humans. We were taught to recognize each other as humans. But you believe, you state that there can't be a perfect utopia in the future.
Nah.
And I'm kind of wondering why. Why can't there be?
Human beings will always.
Why can't I
find a
just
way.
walk up to someone and be like, I don't want to hate you. I don't need anything from you. Who are you? Nice to meet you.
Because
Like some people just walk up to other people and are just like, fuck you. Like I want you to die.
there's a lot of trauma. You know what I mean? There's a lot of trauma there. There's some people who get envious. There's some people who just had a bad life. They haven't had the right choices made. Some people just feel lucky to be alive. You know, there's a lot of people in different situations. The person who is more active to act angry at you is mad at themselves. They're a big ball of trauma that somebody else left you, like a big tangled ball of spaghetti.
I'm gonna throw you something that you're probably gonna have to fucking smoke a bowl over, to sit and ponder, because I think about this often. What if the storytelling that we practice today is the conduit for continuing the cycle of trauma throughout humanity that keeps us stuck in this never-ending I can't fucking break the cycle attitude? Almost mimics the disdain that Lucifer has for God for throwing him out of the kingdom of heaven. And that is the trauma that humanity is stuck in. And see ourselves being any less than Lucifer or any more than God.
Well, there's always going to be a person who wants more than the others. They feel entitled in some
But
way
if creation
than
but
the
if
others.
creation
That
was like,
breeds
if God created
hatred.
humans in his image and like the commanded the angels to like guard humanity,
Okay.
and like one of them was like, well, that's not fair. Like, is there always going to be someone who says that's not fair? Because before the fall of descendant of angels, like just that group of angels that said that's not fair. Like before then, we had that. Like there was that. So like where did God
Well, that
bore
goes
that?
down to like almost
also,
original
like-
sin. you know, of Adam and Eve.
It's some mind fucking topics in that exploration, man.
When you look at those old biblical texts, there is a bit of symbolism in there, especially when they're talking about certain things. It comes across one way, and we may have lost the true meaning to time. You know, there's that one book about
I think time is the sentence period.
Sacred Cross. Yeah, and it's about essentially early Christianity, essentially being just a maternity cult. It was all about procreation, and it was centered around the mushroom, and they had to keep that shit going somehow. He did compare Jesus to a mushroom.
Well, fuck, man. Maybe we need to find out where our avatar tail's at. We need to plug into the mother tree bottom of this shit.
I mean, there's the.
Because I'm tired of sitting down and like writing stories and be like, okay, sure, life if I'm fucking up, like, and it slips it back into that like, you can't be that writer who inspires people. Someone's gonna not like the.
See, one of my favorite tropes though for anime recently have been these anime characters who just have this overwhelming wellspring of hope. They could be stomped down by a minotaur, but they just have hope. Their companion is just like, you won't get me because Ichi's here, and he goes zoom boom, grabs the arm, be like, what are you doing here? Flang, breaks their arm, blood splatters everywhere. In Japan, it's white, so it just looks wrong. Like, it's gonna make it more child friendly. Make the blood white.
Goku's had a few of those moments. You want me to break, but I can't, and I won't, because I got my family here and my friends. A lot of that shit was like in Yu-Gi-Oh!
What was that?
During like the shadow duels and shit.
Like comics made
blood. I do for the heart of the cards.
Like comics made blood black. Like that's why Superman's blood was black. Like it'll be friendly. Superman can't believe he's got black blood, alien blood. It's fine. And then some anime do black with their blood too. So you can do black or white. No Michael Jackson reference.
I couldn't help it, man. Oh man, if you can pop in a Michael Jackson character like they use in Mortal Kombat, like
and that's why. Oh man. The Eye of the Sahara. They have nature and planet Earth on here. It's a picture from the ISS, Eye of Sahara. You know the tale about the Eye of the Sahara and what it is believed to be?
Atlantis.
Yeah, the ancient city of Atlantis. Because you look at it and how Plato described it kind of looks really fucking similar.
I know the Aquaman.
I'll add this image in here, gang.
Aquaman sequel, they went.
Yeah, but
Aquaman went, or was that in the first movie? Like he went to the desert and crashed through this thing, and there was Opie underneath.
Yeah. But I mean, there is a lot of theories about that, the Eye of the Sahara, because especially when you look at 13,000 years ago, when Plato was talking about it being swallowed up by the sea, coincidentally. It fits in there with cataclysmic meteor incident, giant flood, city falls, and that coastline.
Where'd all the fucking sand come from? Like the sand volcano just popped out and shit out sand. I mean,
you got climate change there, man. Because it used to be 13,000 years ago. They were saying that it used to be like a jungle. That's what Graham Hancock says. Look at the erosion patterns on the Sphinx. It has like thousands and thousands of years of erosion patterns that doesn't match up with what you're saying, how old it is.
Yeah, and like every 10,000 years or so, there's supposed to be a type of shift from pole to pole that like turns whatever is over here from forest to sand and desert, and then if it's frozen or whatnot, it's tropical now. It's
Well, especially 13,000 years ago is the end of the ice age. So you had ice and then kind of a habitable zone. Where was that? Right there.
the Great Valley.
So it
Go
was
to the Great Valley.
it was right there. It was the eye of the Sahara. They would have been probably pretty reasonable there. Just like Turkey and Göbekli Tepe. That's like 13. There's like 13, 17. They're keep finding older and older temples in Turkey.
So we just set up shop there.
All over the
However
place,
long
too,
it
not just there.
takes. And then eventually it will become a tropical. We'll just go sit like build a tent city in the desert in the Sahara and wait for the pole shift.
But
Be like kings and queens.
to bring it back to your idea of how do you get to that, I think you're trying to go to, how do you, like Michio Kaku's going like, all right, we got to get this like a zero civilization to where we can just control the weather. We're at a certain level of technology and understanding worldwide that we can command our planet, and then go to a type 2 civilization, a 3, and that's all being intergalactic. For that, there's
have a weird
lot
way of
of stuff
compartmentalizing.
that has to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a long road, gang.
And there's just like innate like trigger warning system within people that pushes back on things like weather control, because there's this whole thread of like people use it for the wrong reasons, and there's a whole fucking plethora of history of.
Are you telling me Amazon will cut off your water supply if you're late on a bill?
Yeah, I mean it could.
We're not giving you rain. What? You're not getting rain. Pay up. You know?
Yeah.
Walmart, hey, we're not going to give you any rain if you don't pay your bill. You know what I'm saying?
Well, look
Those
at
major
California and New York,
corporations.
okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, but like that's they're shit. Their infrastructure for management is shit. To come up with a solution for being more green is to charge people more money for leaving their house after you supported the corporate structure of having people buy cars, charge them for driving on the very roads that they already paid state taxes to build, and call it a congestion tax. And so the next thing coming is air tax.
Well, you know what they're doing?
And then water tax.
You know what they're doing for EVs in PA? They're charging you in 2025 a $200 registration and renewal fee for your EV. And then they're getting away that, that bonus. It's, guess what? You got to pay $200 for your registration and renewal. And then 2026, it's going to go up to $250. Because you know what? Making a electric battery turns out really expensive. Where do you think that nickel's coming from?
And cost more resources that use combustion.
There's
Sorry,
a lot of nickel.
I just can't. It's insanity, bro.
So
Insanity.
there's a lot of
Really is.
insanity in the electric market. That's why I always talk about
Right.
hydrogen.
So like, there's a huge history of management that
amazing energy source right over here, and everybody's like, yeah, but I don't know. I heard you can go boom boom. Guess what? Gasoline is combustible too. Okay, we have dangerous fluids. It's what we're dealing in, gang. This one produces water. We just talked about a plane that went 523 miles only on hydrogen. There's an infamous podcast Steve and I did with Lugnuts. The story was a car that it was converted to hydrogen that completed the 24-hour Le Mans race. They had to bring all their own fuel. They had to bring all their own hydrogen. And it's like, oh, okay.
It's expensive.
Yeah, and it completed it. So you're like, okay, there's something to this. France, they're converting their public transportation for hydrogen. They have a tank that you can just. They're working on different container modules that are safe. There are people, especially the Japanese 5, who are looking into hydrogen. A lot of people are pulling back from electric, just like Ford and a whole bunch of manufacturers saying, you know what? EVs really weren't a good idea in this. You know how we can do something else. Everybody's scrambling.
Yeah, they could fucking use Nikola Tesla's idea of pulling, fucking electricity out of the atmosphere. You could do hydroelectric combustion, which is fucking cheap and easy. The Hoover Dam in Vegas has a backup hydroelectric fucking generator that runs that entire facility. It's like it's moronic that all these different options exist, and not one of them upper management utilizes to make anybody's life better. They just tax the fuck out of it, or provide a registration, or put it behind a paywall, like fucking an ID or a license or some shit. All under the right set of laws, all illegal licenses for making money for the little tiny areas that the people just want to fucking live in, not really give a shit about much else. Live and be safe. That's like the basic requirements for life.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could do a whole fucking separate podcast on that topic. But yeah, there's like a whole horrible history of people getting new technology and using it for the wrong. It's almost like a little kid has to get a new toy and do dumb shit with it first before we figure out, like, oh, okay, that's what we got you.
We should.
Sorry, we just wanted to see like
the
all
light
the things.
speed laser weapon. You know what? Let's put it on a truck, though. That sounds good.
Like, if you think about it,
let's just put it on a truck.
There's a reason. There's a reason why fucking alien technology haven't come down here. They're looking at us like a bunch of little fucking kids that don't know what the fuck we're doing. They're like, if we give these motherfuckers a Death Star, they're gonna blow up the moon. We're not doing it.
Don't drop no more nuclear bombs. I swear to God, stop that. It's when they started showing up a lot more. And they're like, hey, what are you doing?
They're taking photos and they're making photography books to release them. They're in Civilization.
There's one of those conspiracy movies that I absolutely love, and you can't even find it or rent it on Amazon anymore, and it's Unacknowledged. Have you heard about that one?
Oh.
I think we've talked.
I thought you were going to say Under the Dome.
No, Unacknowledged. It's a documentary.
Okay. Was it actually finished? Because most people who start documentaries about shit like that usually get off.
By Dr. Stephen Greer. He was a consultant to.
Oh, okay.
From
The
Clintons and up there. He read them.
Oh yeah, he's done a bunch of Senate hearings and all that shit.
Couldn't find his movie Unacknowledged, where he pretty much said, we've been working on UFO technology, mastered that engine from about in the 50s. We have our own craft. Yeah. You know what? That's one of my favorites. Like, you know what? We're giving you guys a lot of money. What are you really doing? Was that a $500 hammer?
Yeah, he goes in a lot, especially on like Element 118.
Oh yeah. And Bob Lazar is another good one.
That's the guy that discovered 118 that was trying to hide. That eventually came out, which is supposedly the element that is
That's
found.
How he came out on the news. Like, why are you doing this? Because I enjoy living. Yeah, this is my insurance. If they kill me, you know why. Like, damn. And
I bet you could find it on Guy.com.
Bone scanner, and they were like, oh no, this other facility had this bone scanner that he talked about for years. Yeah. And it's documented, man. It's just there's so much conspiracy like that. Like they killed Kennedy, you know. Tucker Carlson said it. It's probably true. Grassy knoll, you know. We always knew there was a guy.
Oh, if you look at footage of it, though, it's like, where did the bullet come from? Bullets? Like, there's this dude in the back seat, fucking.
I don't know, man. How are we gonna describe this? Just I don't know. Right, magic bullet. Oh, magic bullet. Yeah, add quotations. Yeah, magic bullet. And they went with it. I mean, clearly, this is good. That's a good.
I love X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
The moment that was like, why are you in here? Oh, I you killed Kennedy?
Yeah.
Magneto assassinated Kennedy. Oh, what a fucking awesome.
There was also that moment in I think it was Umbrella Academy when the dude killed. He was the guy in the grassy knoll. There's always that time travel episode and stuff to where there was that guy on the grassy knoll. And there was always, it was like, all right, we can talk about this in sci-fi and stuff, but, you know, wink, wink. We know it didn't really happen, guys, right? And now everybody's like, oh, yeah, that shit happened. Yeah, sure. All right. Okay. Yeah, guess what? Aliens are real, too. What? Yeah. Oh, yeah, they've been here.
Yeah. I would talk to a mermaid fish.
Dude, what if you met one? And Taco Fish comes up to you and is very cross, like, after this podcast, and you're like, I'm not going to stand for this. But it's only, like, this big, but it's it's like a chihuahua. It's very loud and boisterous, and somehow telepathy-wise, you understand what it's saying, and it's just like, it's like a Karen, and it's just like, oh, my God, I found another Karen. Why is there a taco space fish Karen?
It sounds like that fucking bee movie where he sues the honey factory for the bee honey.
That is such a kind word for a bee movie. Oh man, I thought it was gonna be lower. Whew, but that's a shaky idea there. But yeah, man, that was kind of a bee movie title though. And be like, all right, man, well, I got the money. Let me see what this one's about. Back in the day, you definitely hook somebody at like a theater. You'd be like, okay, I'll check this out.
Yeah, you just call that one mermaid tacos. Show up. Fucking mermaid taco? What does that look like? Oh, a circumcised penis with mantis arms and giant eyeball.
And 30 legs.
And 300 fucking legs.
That look like shrimp legs.
Excuse me, sir.
claws.
This is Ted from the Channel 3. How many pairs of shoes do you own? Man. There's a story in there.
Do we want that to be a story in there? I don't know.
You can't call it Taco Tuesday. They found them on a Thursday. Yeah.
We could definitely do a comic on it. And maybe it was around and one of the founding like elite of Atlantis. And it was like,
oh, you could do like a Jurassic Park story where they like bring it back to life.
Like that double crosser, the snake character, and it's just like, guess what, guys? Water. And it's just this taco fish praying mantis that is secretly caused the Great Flood.
Oh,
and that's how how we tie it to Atlantis. And that is a comic. There you go.
Yeah, that's the next fossilized
It's like the
Pokemon.
fall of Krypton from a taco praying mantis shrimp.
I mean, it's silly enough to be a Pokemon, dude. Like,
It really is. Dude, we gotta think of a really you have to think of a really cool name. Like it has to be something like something yokai and taco related. So maybe Santeria. I don't know. How do we name a taco praying mantis? Do we add in Catholicism? What ism do we do there? How do you name a taco praying mantis?
Oh, Caribbean Mango Blade. The flavor and the danger, like.
I mean, I really only have to grab a couple images and add it in here, and this is going to be a golden podcast because.
It's like a Kabu tops.
I imagine it can't get longer than like 6 feet. Otherwise, if you make that like a dragon type taco monster, Joe's gonna watch this and be like, I see you. I'm statting this right now. He is that type. You know, the Bumble Bear it exists. So you always have to watch out for a Bumble Bear. It's terrifying. Somebody
we need to fight one of those.
Out of the two of us created that.
Yeah, it's like a Kabutox fucked an Ammonite. You got the best part of the shell and all the legs.
That's an accurate statement. It's an accurate statement.
And it might have had a one night stand.
But what do you think about the alternate technology of that younger Dryas time?
As far as what?
Like a different way of going about things. Like Nikola Tesla always said, it's all about frequencies. They found a different way to do things than we did. Because clearly there's some precision in some of this old stone structures around the world.
We're talking about the ancients discovered a way to manipulate frequency to build things like the pyramids to change they only figured it out to manipulate the volume and objects to manipulate how they, flustered or pandered to their idols and to control their population, which I guess is the totally human version of how you would use technology. But, frequency and resonant frequencies are still a scientific topic, just more niched and not really talked about. I was watching a video the other day. It's funny you bring this up. There was a lady who did a conference at I guess they have like resonation or frequency cons.
Okay.
Or some like science expos, and they talk about frequencies, the study of aerodynamic and frequencies. Yeah. And they created a test. It's like a resonant frequency test to look at the various different compounds within your body structure. And it detects disease. And through a treatment of vibration or resonant frequency, it could reverse deficiencies in nutrition.
They're making a tricorder.
Yeah. I think it's a positive way to go, to be honest, because if you look at objects,
Gene Roddenberry,
and you look at once you get into quantum physics, you study a majority of that is light and particles, right? Particles phase throughout materialism. So if this really is a materialistic world, light phases through it, and that's how we get constructs. It's all made of light. Well, if light can travel, then it has a frequency. That's how we go, boom, we're there. Yeah. We go from one point to A to one point to B. So there has to be a frequency.
Yeah.
So that means that every materialistic compound, object, frequency, particle, atom, it all has a frequency. So what if you could tune your body to the frequency of healing and reverse disease? They even use frequency or sonic frequency to break up tumors.
Yeah.
It's a totally legit way to go as far as science goes. And frequency, if they can manipulate it to carry stone tablets that weigh tons, we wouldn't need fuel to fucking fly. You strap a few of those frequency manipulator tachyons to a backpack and you're flying to school.
Yeah.
Because you're manipulating your own weight. And you're using some type of aerodynamic regulator to help propel you forward.
Yeah.
It totally legitimizes the way that people think about heroes' abilities in like comic books.
Yeah, that's true.
So like a lot of the technology that artists come up with is not bullshit. It's all grounded in science in some way.
Yeah.
I think we chose the wrong path, to be honest. I think frequency and resonation frequency, I think there was a lot of potential in that. Especially if you don't need sources. You're talking about Ming Do Chao in China, who's fucking building a city that's literally rooted in 3,000 acres of suburban like foliage to where you could like, you remember that scene in Doctor Strange, Universe of Madness or whatever, the sequel, the Multiverse of Madness sequel, where he goes back to the council, at the name of the Illuminati Council, and they're living in this weird city, and there's like foliage growing off of buildings and shit, and people are living with the environment, not against it.
Kind of like
that's what they're building in China right now.
Gardens of Babylon.
Yeah, that's what they're building in China right now to stabilize that part of their little economy, to make sure that people have what they need and to build the ecosystem, which is it's a great fucking way.
That's a great
to
idea,
live.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so and then we're talking about frequency, right? So Have you seen pictures of like 1800s farmers at fairs with like pumpkins that are the size of fucking Volkswagens?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, so take some copper wire, run it through a pole, stick it in your fucking yard, and what you do is you're using the electromagnetosphere within the Earth, because Earth vibrates and resonates because we have a solid metal core, right? You're resonating that so that it allows the nutrients in it to expand. And that's where you get your giant fucking pumpkin from. So if you're ever driving by a field in the middle of fucking nowhere and you see all these different poles wrapped in fucking copper,
Well, you know
they're
about that.
creating these like frequency pots where like they're growing food an exorbitant amount of size and volume.
Well, you know about it was in the South American cultures. There's this way of restoring the nutrients to the land that we don't do.
Yeah.
But we can't really describe how they do it. But it's been generation and generation and generation. They tend these lands the same way. And there's that, what is it, like 10 more years of nutrients to the topsoil? Monocrop agriculture? That's not scary.
Yeah.
That's not scary at all.
Yeah, well, it's because the earth can heal itself just like the body can. So the minute you stop using fucking pesticides in food, I mean, the only reason pesticides exist is because corporations are too large and too non-trustworthy of their own fucking communities to not trust or subcontract out little tiny village farms that can manage it without having to pay the expense. And so pesticide virtually replaces people. But what it does is it provides toxicity to sell it. There's a study done by a college somewhere here in fucking America. They were talking about it on a podcast the other day, where they took non-organic strawberries that uses pesticides and crushed them up. And there was so much pesticides left over in the juice that they could re-spray the field of strawberries that it came from.
Oh, that's delicious, isn't it?
So yeah, there's no wonder they talk about like 10 more fucking years of nutrient values of the soil. We're literally fucking poisoning the ground.
Yeah,
It's the very same
we are
reason the
doing that,
Na'vi
yeah.
killed the white people when they showed up on on their moon. Like, receive your
Yeah.
insanity, it can be cured. Like,
Yeah.
what we're doing is insane. We're taking large, looking at, and so that's why I say like resonant frequency was a way to go without
Well, you look at what
having the
Ted
side
Nugent's
effects
saying
of
is
having like
when you're doing
gas ulcers and
when
shit.
you're doing that monocrop agriculture, you're cutting up the ground.
Yeah.
And guess what that's also doing? That's killing the actual things that live in the ground. You're killing
Yeah.
snakes and all that stuff. That's
Yeah, you're killing
actually
the
supposed to be-
microbes and
Yeah, you're killing
and all
everything.
the shit
And you're
that
just
like
this is not right. I can.
you're
do
you're
that.
mutating everything that's in there, and it either kills them or it creates a new fucking disease.
That checks out. That checks out. That's just
Light in here.
Perjangers. But man, like always, this has been like a 2-hour podcast. So editing wise, I'm gonna cap it off there because I got some images to add in there, especially with the taco mantis shrimp. Mermaid.
Yeah, that's the best thing to come. That's our fucking. Yeah,
That's the title.
that's our fucking game. Taco Mantis Game Shark.
Oh man, this has been such another great
Friends.